Last year, I retired at the age of 39, but that was never my plan. I too wanted a successful career, and for a while it seemed like I had it. But after 20 years in a fast-paced environment of media publishing, I burned out completely, twice. And not just that, I started to resent the very work I used to love and enjoy. But to be completely honest, it wasn't all my job's fault. It was my entire lifestyle. I still lived like I was 27 at 37. At some point, my body just couldn't take it anymore, and my mind quickly followed. But how do you retire early without years of planning and preparation, especially financial one? Well, as you'll see and hear throughout this video, you have to be a bit naive, have a lot of self-belief, and trust that everything will work out in your favor. In this video, I want to take you throughout my slow-paced day living in rural Bulgaria and talk about how retirement looks for me, what I invest in, and what my plans are for old age. If you ever wanted to build a slower, more intentional life outside of the norms of society, then this video is for you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bulgaria. Let's talk about retirement. I can't believe I'm talking about retirement and I'm 40. But I feel like a lot of times my lifestyle is misunderstood, or people assume things, and so I just wanted to share a little bit more about how this actually looks like in practice and maybe provide some ideas on how you can do this, because it sounds so crazy that someone would retire at 39 without really having that financial backup. I feel like most of the people that retire early, they have millions saved up, or depending on the country where you are and your currency. But yeah, they usually retire because they have enough money saved up to use for the rest of their life, and probably even their descendants, and I don't have that. Like I spoke in my previous video where I talk about my income, I have a little bit money saved up, but that's gonna be for my house, my property, once I buy it. I don't have any savings for my current expenses, my monthly expenses. So for now, I'm just winging it, like I said. And I think if you would ask me years ago, or told me that I will just stop working, I would probably think there is no way. What, did I win the lottery? What happened? But yeah, life can change very quickly, and for me it was more about setting priorities, putting my well-being, my health first, because I was in that burnout state for so long, and I felt my mental health slipping back into that depression that I used to know very well years ago, and I didn't want to be there anymore, and I knew I had to make a very, very drastic change. And once I kind of realized that my current lifestyle, my current job, my current career isn't sustainable and isn't at all aligned with my values, I knew that, yeah, I just have to do a complete 180 and start putting myself first. And if that looks like me having less money, less, let's say, maybe that comfort and security, which isn't necessarily true, it's just a different kind of security. It's a different kind of comfort. Once you reframe what this means to you, and I have so much previous experience with living in very humble conditions, living with, very modestly, living in communities where my accommodation was a cave and we were freegan, we were eating food from the dumpsters. So, and I'm not saying that was bad, it was actually amazing because it gave me like this bottom line. If the worst case scenario happens, like if I'm literally homeless, broke, poor, I know that I can still live a very nice life because I experienced that. I experienced periods in my life where I had almost no income. I had a job, and that job was paying me 350 euros. That was a full-time job, 350 euros per month during the pandemic, which is insanity. So you see how I'm rather not employed and still pretty much produce the same income. That's why, like, I'm saying this whole employment system is such a trap and it's such BS. Like, there's a reason why you are paid a certain amount. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I think this is a whole other video if I want to speak about that. Once I came to terms that, okay, my life can be good even if it looks completely differently from what it was, like living in a city and, you know, buying new stuff at Zara every month and going for matcha latte and work lunches and all that. Like, none of that made me happy, you know? And I was just basically sacrificing my health for all that. And it didn't even make me happy. So what was the point? Like, there was no point. So yeah, once I came to that realization, I was like, okay, let's fix this. We need to do something about it. We need to realign and, yeah, and take care of myself. That's it. So, one of the most important elements of this whole lifestyle change is definitely the mindset around what is and isn't possible. People will tell you you cannot do this and you cannot do that, but they're speaking from their own limitations. No one except you knows what you're capable of. So my first and only advice when you're making any kind of big life decisions, don't listen to anyone else except your own internal compass. Even if it sounds as crazy as joining the circus, well, only you know if you have the potential to tame all the monkeys. The second element is actually making the decision, and despite everything against it, mostly your own fears that come from your ego and, well, let's be honest, it's loud as F and it will often win over your heart. But just start making those small steps towards realizing this insane dream of yours. Honestly, if I could do it without millions on my bank account and without rich parents to support me, then anyone can. But you have to believe it first. To me, elderflower is just such a nostalgic thing from my childhood. And I'm just so happy that I have it here on the property, so I can make something nice off of it. One of my biggest investments into old age is taking care of my well-being, my health. Coming out of burnout and depression, I promised myself I will do everything in my power to nurture my body and mind so that I can live long and prosper. I take care of my diet, eat in moderation, and move my body as it feels called to move. My daily life is far away from noise, pollution, and stress. My daily habits support my vitality and are building stones for old age. I see firsthand how important that is. My dad made some poor lifestyle choices in his days and now has diabetes and also takes a bunch of other medication too. My mom is the opposite. She lives a very active lifestyle, walking long distances almost every day. She's the Camino Trek girl, and she's also very mindful of her consumption. She never took any medication ever in her life. So yeah, I rather end up as my mom, bless her heart. I made the batter a little bit too thick, I think. But other than that, it's so yummy. But there is no elegant way of eating this. Just have to pull it apart with your fingers. I don't know if something like this exists in Bulgaria, because I made this once for one of my hosts and they were clueless about the elderflower fritz, I guess. Fritz. But yeah, in Slovenia, this is such a common thing. Everybody knows this. I'm also always very surprised by worried questions and comments of, what will you do if you fall ill, or you can't take care of yourself? Because honestly, that's not what I'm thinking about. That's not the future I want to manifest for myself. I don't think about being ill when I'm old or not being able to take care of myself. I rather imagine myself full of life and energy. For everything else, well, there is health insurance. And then there's the reality of retiring at 39. It's not exactly like what people imagine when you mention retirement or early retirement. I'm not sitting by the pool drinking pina coladas all day and chatting with my gal pals. I'm also not knitting a new collection of grandpa sweaters or counting the planes in the sky like my father does sometimes. For someone who doesn't work, I actually work a lot. Probably more than some people who are actually employed. You have to understand that for me, simply living rurally here in Bulgaria gives me a sense of the slow, retired life. Not only because most of my neighbors are babas and didas, but because the pace is different here. And most importantly, I'm the curator of my own time. I have the freedom of choosing what, when, and where I want to be and do stuff. That's something I never had in my employed or self-employed life. This freedom was granted to me because I'm able to live a very low-cost lifestyle, and I'm satisfied with having little in a sense of material possessions. For me, having as much free time as I need and desire is more valuable than having thousands of euros on my bank account. Being able to choose projects and do work that is meaningful to me, that's the ultimate flex. I often think of how much I was actually contributing to society at my previous jobs, and sometimes I actually feel ashamed of what comes up. I feel so much more aligned, purposeful, and valuable doing the work I choose to do now. Whether that's taking care of people's properties, looking after their pets, creating videos that inspire people around the world, or mentor fashion professionals who want to grow their career in the fashion industry. These are all the things I love to do and choose to do, when and how I want them. None of these are a career, a serious business, or any kind of hustle. They're all small fragments of what I do for work without ever feeling like they're overpowering my life, hijacking my freedom. I do my best to balance it with times when I can completely unplug and be in my hermit sanctuary. It all comes in seasons, so I'm just taking it as it comes, not worrying too much about the what ifs and hows. Doing what feels right at this moment is a strategy I live by. Okay, right. I can hear you asking all these questions. But how this and what if that? To be completely honest, I don't want to reveal my step-by-step plan for my old age, whenever that will be. Not because I wouldn't want to share all the lovely ideas I have and all the creative ways I want to invest in my future. Call me superstitious, but I believe some things are better kept to yourself, especially when it comes to very personal matters and projects that require you to be a bit more vulnerable than just sharing a childhood memory or your grandma's recipe. We all have very different ideas of how we want to spend our senior years, and these ideas change through time as well. 5 years ago, my idea of how I'm gonna spend my 40s definitely didn't include weeding the gardens and fixing lawnmowers. So I cannot even imagine how I will want to spend my days when I'm 60, 70, or 80. What I do know is time is flying by as it is, and I want to fully enjoy my 40s while I'm here experiencing them. And as for when I'm Baba Katya, I can only hope my garden will thrive, my knees will be strong, and my pension will come true. Da smo živi I zdravi.